The most haunted place in America is said to be this mansion. But it's not because of what you see that makes it so scary. It's actually what you hear. I think we all know how creepy whispering voices can be, for example. There was this one time when this ghost hunter was walking through this room, and then he heard someone say his name, and it wasn't just any random name. It was spelled out exactly like his name, Jaykob. And it's not like he was watching Stranger Things and then just started hearing things. No, no, no. This guy has been investigating paranormal activity for 20 years, and he has even written several books on the subject. So it's not like he was just hearing things, or was he? Well, let's take a look at this house and all the spooky whispering voices inside of it. The Waverly Hills Sanatorium, located in Louisville, Kentucky, is allegedly the most haunted place in America. With over 60 deaths within its walls, it is now open to the public for tours. The building itself looks like something straight out of a horror movie. The architecture is absolutely breathtaking with its brick exterior, arched windows, and red door. But those who have visited have reported some very strange occurrences. The sanatorium was built in 1910 and opened as a private tuberculosis hospital. Back in the day, TB was a major cause of death, especially among young adults. If you were diagnosed with it, you might as well just go ahead and get your affairs in order because the survival rate was less than 10%. It didn't matter if you were rich or poor, famous or unknown. If you got TB, you were screwed. So these sanatoriums were always packed to the brim with patients waiting for their inevitable demise. By 1924, Waverly Hills had expanded from 25 beds to 350 beds, treating more than 2,000 patients a year. The main building was 5 stories tall, but they also had additional cottages to treat the overflow of patients. These cottages were isolated from the main building by a wooded area. This is where most of the deaths occurred because the disease was so contagious. Many patients would be transferred out to the cottages, so they would unspread the disease to others in the main building. It was here, away from the medical staff, where many of them died. In 1938, they stopped admitting new patients and began closing down the sanatorium. In 1947, it was completely closed and abandoned. Now, we all know that a place filled with thousands of corpses is bound to be haunted. But that's not why it's the most haunted place in America. It all starts here in the main building. As soon as you step foot into the main entrance, you are greeted with an overwhelming sense of sadness. It feels like the spirits of the patients are reaching out to you, trying to tell you their story. As you walk through the halls, you can feel their pain and suffering all around you. It's so intense that some visitors have collapsed from the emotional trauma of it all. There are many reports of people hearing whispering voices coming from the walls. They sound like they're talking about you. Some say they've heard their own name being called out. Others say they've heard entire conversations taking place around them. The scariest part is that no one can explain why. There are no logical answers. Sometimes they'll call out names of people who have never even been inside the sanatorium before. It doesn't just stop at the whispering voices. People have seen full-on apparitions of former patients and doctors walking through the halls. They also see shadows moving about and objects flying across the room. Some say they've even experienced physical touching, like someone walking up behind them and pushing them forward, or grabbing their shoulder and turning them around. But there are 3 rooms in particular that are the most active. The first is the body chute room. Back in the day, there was a body chute used to transport bodies from the main building to the morgue. It was a slide used specifically for transporting the dead bodies of patients. Yeah, that sounds like a fun game, right? Well, nowadays there are reports of shadowy figures standing around the chute. They appear to be dressed in old-fashioned clothes and seem to be arguing with each other. Some believe that they are former employees of the sanatorium who refused to accept their assignments and were fired as a result. Others believe that they are the spirits of patients who were killed in accidents while being transported down the chute. Either way, this room is one of the most active areas in the entire building and should definitely be avoided at all costs. The second room is the operating room. This is where many of the patients went to meet their fate. It's hard not to feel the sadness and despair that lingers in this room. Some have reported hearing doctors talking about experiments that they want to try out on the patients. Others say they hear screams and pleas for mercy. And let's face it, who wants to be in a room where people were tortured and ultimately met their end? The third room is the pharmacy. Here you will find shelves upon shelves of dusty bottles and equipment. It hasn't been used since the 1930s. It's rumored that the spirits of patients who died from drug overdoses haunt this room. Some say they've heard bottles crashing to the floor, even though they were placed there safely by staff members earlier that day. Others say they've seen shadowy figures moving around the room, seemingly rearranging the bottles and equipment. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to feel a bit uneasy just thinking about all this. I can really feel the pain and suffering that occurred in this building, which brings us back to our ghost hunter friend. He was exploring the sanatorium with his team when they entered one of the more active rooms. The moment they stepped inside, they could feel the energy shift. It was like walking into a completely different dimension. Suddenly, he heard his name being whispered. At first, he thought it was one of his team members playing a prank on him, but they all denied doing so. It wasn't until later that he realized there was another explanation. Investigated further and discovered that there was a vent in the ceiling directly above him. The vent was covered with a metal plate, but it was slightly loose. When he tapped on the metal plate, it made a sound exactly like someone whispering. He and his team quickly left the room and never returned. The sanatorium has since been renovated and turned into a hotel. It's still open to the public for tours, however, and many people report hearing whispering voices throughout the halls. Staff members have also heard voices late at night when there are no guests in the hotel. Some have even captured audio evidence of the whispering voices, but when they go back to listen to the recording, they can't make out exactly what the voices are saying. They just know that they're talking about them. So what do you think? Is there any truth to these ghost stories? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to visit the sanatorium for yourself, then I wish you luck. But whatever you do, don't go in alone. And definitely don't go in the middle of the night. That's never a good idea. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the one about the most haunted island in the world. It's full of dark secrets and terrifying stories that will leave you speechless. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. As always, stay safe.